All right, hey everybody, welcome to Argent Alpha Unscripted. We're here with my partners in crime, Brock Harling and Clint Murray. How you guys doing today?
Fired up, ready to go.
Yeah, fired. Amazing.
We just had our 10X triad meeting. The whole idea behind that is we're all following the 10X is easier than 2X concepts that Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan talk about in their book. And the triad is three of us. We've been doing this now for a year, and it's awesome. So just the quick nugget: if you only listen to the roughly 1 minute mark, go find two other guys, create your own three-legged stool, and start sharpening the saw around something you want to get better at. So this week we've got, I think, a pretty interesting topic we're going to talk about. I'm going to pull up I'm going to take us through a couple slides, and then I'm going to back off the slides and come in and we're going to talk about it. So bear with me 1 second while I pull it up, and here we go. So one of the books that we use now for the last couple of years in Argent Alpha, and one of them is Be Your Future Self Now by Dr. Benjamin Hardy is a big one. Atomic Habits by James Clear. But Hero on a Mission by Donald Miller has been another book that's been a hit with our guys. And the focus of his book is talking about the four roles that we all play. Literally, we all play these roles throughout our day. It's just a question of how much time you spend in the roles. And the quick overview of the roles: the victim, the villain, the hero, and the guide. And so the biggest thing that we want to get across to you guys today is talk about these four roles, differentiate them, and then talk about a pattern interrupt so you can understand when you're in a role you don't want to be and getting back into the role that you do want to get into. So first off, I mean, I think you guys are pretty familiar with the material, but talk a little bit, Clint, about just how you've seen or how you've been impacted by the book Hero on a Mission, the roles, how you've used it, just any kind of things that just come to mind as it relates to that book.
Yeah, so personally, I feel like I've been impacted just by the awareness of it. Before reading it, we kind of had the ideas and the different mindset that we all talk about, but it was really an awareness of each four, you know, four
Roles.
guy, whatever it is, four, mentalities you can carry, I guess. And so the awareness of that really helps get you where you want to be, right? I mean, obviously, we all play one of the four each day, and always looking to be the hero and the guide. So for me, it was the awareness, and just to help pull myself out of it.
Yeah. How about you, Brock?
Yeah, kind of the same thing what Clint said, the awareness, the piece that I love about this community and just what the three of us talk about all the time and what Argent Alpha is and being able to learn together and sharpen each other is just the different concepts, that a lot of these things stack on top of each other. And so the victim and the villain, yeah, I feel I'm a victim right now. I feel like I'm in that villain mode, or I'm a hero, or I'm a guide. Like being able to identify where you are. And then like we talked about, was it a couple weeks ago, the AAA framework, the awareness, and then having the agency, like, okay, do I want to stay here? What am I going to do about it? And then creating action to be able to pull yourself out of there. Like so many of these theories and these concepts, they stack, but they also give you a way forward too, instead of just kind of sitting there and just, being in the I know we're going to talk about the different roles, but that awareness piece and, being able to do something about it.
Yeah, I mean, you're moving ahead. You knew exactly where I was going to go. The AAA framework, it all starts with awareness. And I think before I read this book, I didn't have these roles, these archetypes, and so I didn't have the language or the knowledge. And so once I got it, I was like, oh my God, I literally had. I think I read it when I was 58, maybe. It was like 58 years of like crap. If I would have had this, I could have snapped out. But hey, better late than never. So let's dive into the roles. I think let's talk about the villain, or excuse me, the victim first. So what you're gonna see this life is consistent through each role. So the victim is characterized by life is happening to me. I don't have any agency. I don't have any control. I'm powerless. I'm stuck. I avoid ownership. I live in excuses. I explain everything. I rationalize. I justify it. You don't take any ownership. Everything is out of your control. Genetics. My wife cooks this way. My employer does this. Everything is victim. So a pattern interrupter, and that is for anybody who feels like identifies with this, is what can I control right now? And I don't know, when you guys talk to guys over 50 and just guys in life. Now that you know these roles, how often do you come across language patterns like this? And it's I mean, probably this is back to the reticular activating system, the RAS. Like, now when you have knowledge of this, you can't not see it. It's like when you're if you're gonna buy a new Volkswagen, all of a sudden all you see on the road are Volkswagens because it's in your filters are letting it in. Once you're aware of these roles, and anybody listening to this, when you're out there, you're going to come up with them. In a subset of the victim role is these noble excuses. I need to work this weekend because, hey, I got to provide for my family, or I can't get my workouts in because I have to, I can't move that Zoom call that I scheduled. It's like, and so there's all these, and there's so many noble excuses. They sound good on the surface, but they're just rationalizations. They ultimately come from the victim mentality. Yeah. But what are some common things you guys hear from people when you interact with them that you put under this victim mindset?
I mean, well,
go ahead,
I'll
Clint.
jump in. A lot of it's I can't. You know what I mean? And some of the things are, let's hear. I can't. I don't know how. It's not my fault, or all there. And where I was thinking is from the victim, it's definitely a fixed mindset, right? And one thing I always say is some of the biggest things that I've learned in the last 3-4 years is language patterns, and they were pointed out to me, and they still are, which I need. And then just noticing them in others. So one thing I was thinking as well is the victim mindset has to do a lot with comparison, right? Whether we know it or not, you start comparing yourself, or looking at other things than the next guy. It's a victim mindset for sure. So
yeah, I agree.
I got probably too much to say on this one. I want to just throw a quick side note out there. Ask any of my 3 kids what the weakest mindset is, and they'll tell you. So it's the victim mindset. And what's the opposite of the victim mindset? It's being a leader. They'll teach you all about it because we talk about this all the time around dinner. But being like it, the one I often hear is like, it's just the way I've always done it. Like, where is that okay ever? Is it okay at your workplace? If it is, you probably aren't growing. If it is in any part of your life, you for sure aren't growing. It is the weakest of the 5 mindsets that Ben Bergeron talks about. That we've had a number of different things that we've discussed there. Maybe we'll do a podcast on that someday. But it's the easiest place to be. Like, anyone can join. Everyone wants to, like, there's no barrier to entry to being a victim. Because you actually have to do something to break out of that victimhood. Don't get me going. I'll keep going on this.
Yeah, and I think for anybody listening, what we're not talking about is like a victim of a crime. That's a different
Totally.
We're talking about an approach to life where you're basically opting out of agency. You're giving up ownership to third parties, the external world, and you're staying stuck there. And for some reason, the victim mindset, people tend to almost treat it like a comfortable blanket. It's like it's comforting to them for some crazy reason. So anyway, yeah, I think Clint, you talked about compare.
Hang on one sec, Jag.
Yeah.
Picture like a pyramid. Like it as you go up the different mindsets, or what we're going to talk about here. You actually it's harder to earn your way, or to get your way to be able to do that through agency. But there's a lot of people down in that victim place, right? In that victimhood, because they don't want to take the action to do it, or they don't know how to get started, or, all of that side. So no, it's not a, someone that's been victimized in something bad. It's just the mindset that they trap themselves in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree 100%. Clint, you talked about comparison, and I agree. There's that line, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely one side of the coin. The other side, I think a positive way to use comparison isn't to make yourself feel better, but to show what's possible. So what I like about Argent Alpha, and seeing what other guys are doing in business, in their health, in their fitness, in their mindset with their families, is I want to get better. And the only way I can do that is look at what they're doing. So I'm not really comparing in the traditional definition, but I want to know what we talk about, always be chasing taillights. If you don't chase taillights, you're in the wrong room. You can't grow if you're the best in the room at something. You just can't. It's just like playing tennis, Brock. Against, I'm guessing, I don't even know if you play tennis, but if you play tennis with your daughter Piper, you're probably going to beat her, right? You're not going to get any better,
I hope so.
at least today when she's what, 6? I mean, so
Mhm.
anyway, use the comparison to your advantage of what's possible and something to aim for, and not so much that you have to like I chase Clint on a lot of things. I don't need to get to where Clint is, but I want to get closer, and then I know that he's going to get better. So then it keeps moving, and I know that we've talked about this. Like Clint sees me coming on something, and it's like goes out and just crushes something else. Like, oh yeah, think you're going to catch me, Jag? Think again. I mean, we had this little battle with the wall sit where it was like back and forth, and we both got better with it. It was so we tell guys in Argent Alpha, you have a choice with other men over 50. You can choose to be intimidated or inspired. It's all a choice.
That's so good.
Choose
And I'm
inspired.
thinking about even being a victim, you're talking about a victim. So if you have a fixed mindset, you're a victim. If you have a growth mindset, you've got role models,
Right.
And that's how I see this, right? Is we have role models. Our mindsets are growth oriented. And so that turns us into
Yeah, I like that. That's true.
One thing I want to touch on is, as a victim, like we all find ourselves in the victim mindset. It's just how you choose to, like, how long you want to be there. I find myself there plenty of times. Sometimes maybe not daily, but pretty close, multiple times throughout the week, where I'm just like, but it's that awareness level of just like, okay, is this where I want to stay? Do I want to end my day here, or do I want to end my day on a high note? Or what can I do to set myself up for tomorrow? Because this is, I might have one day like this, but I'm not carrying this forward till tomorrow. You have a choice.
Yep, exactly. All right, let's move on to the villain. So, well, back up. Just I want to reframe this again or reemphasize it. Sorry, my tab button's not working. Life is happening to me. So no agency. That's the victim. The villain, life is happening because of me. So the villain tends to be ego driven. They try to control outcomes. They operate from ego or frustration. They cling. They're stubborn. They cling to what once worked or what they think is the right answer, unwilling to adapt. It's another version of the fixed mindset. And so some common examples: if people would just listen to me, I'm surrounded by idiots. Why don't people? They just don't get it. Hey, I know what works for me. And we talked about this internally, but yeah, I call it the Sinatra effect. They want to do it their way. Doesn't matter if it works or not. It's just, I want to do it my way. And so the pattern interrupt is one of them. What outcome am I really trying to create? If you find yourself falling into villain mode, separate yourself from it. And what are you really solving for? Do you really want to improve your health, get better, get the first pull up, land the sale, land the new account? Well, you can't be a villain and do that consistently. And one thing I'll note before I turn over to you guys, I've noticed, I know some really high performing villains. Villains can be very high performers, and there just tends to be a lot of collateral damage. And so the villain they're the flip side of the coin of the hero. We'll talk about the hero in a second. But you look at any Marvel movie, villains have superpowers, man. These guys can do, and gals can do some crazy things. It's just not good for other people, and ultimately it's not good for them. So, and again, Brock, you mentioned this. We fall into these roles every day. I tend to fall into more of a villain role more often than a victim role. I think people tend, you do both, but you'll lean to one or the other. Like when I get ticked off or lose patience, I'm going into villain mode versus stopping, doing the pattern, and I'm gonna go like, okay, why is this bothering me? Is it really that person, or is it just my own shortcomings and my own fixed mindset? And I always know the answer. Brock, what do you think of when you think of the villain? And I know we had a couple offline conversations about a couple of people we know who are regularly in the villain mode, but how do you handle that? How do you deal with it?
A lot. I mean, my mind always goes when you're in villain mode. It's just like it's self-sabotage most of the time. I notice myself going there, or it's bringing others down.
Mm-hmm.
Like like if I'm gonna suffer, or I'm in this mode, I don't want anyone else to elevate above. I'm gonna bring them down. I'm gonna hold them down with me. A couple of examples are, if I had 2 beers, well, if I've already got the train off the track, if I already lost for the day, I might as well have some pizza. Okay, well, might as well stay up way past my bedtime. I might as well have a bunch of candy, like all this other stuff, or, another time that you could notice yourself there and work yourself out of it is like, what if you got a crappy night of sleep? Something happened, you woke up, you got 3 hours of sleep. Are you going to self-sabotage the rest of your day, or are you going to find a way to grind through and set yourself up so tomorrow does not become that? And I got a lot of experience with that one. The crappy nights of sleep, and like, I'm gonna do everything in my power to set up so I don't have another one of these. It's like, again, but it's that awareness piece of knowing where you are, giving yourself an option of, do you want to continue this? Do you want to bring others down, or do you want to be someone who elevates other people?
Mhm.
I think, Brock, you just said it, and I don't know how to emphasize this, but it's the awareness that how does somebody come up with the awareness to know they're in each of these roles? Um, if I think about me in the villain position, it usually starts with anger, and that anger radiates and grows. How do I become aware? And I'm getting better, but anyway, and I think that may be the case for most people too. When you get in that villain mode, how do you become aware? What can you do to get out of that? That's where my mind goes. A fixed mindset is one of the top traits of a villain, I would think. Unwilling to adapt. I'm just going through some of the key traits here. I associate with some of those when I'm in the villain mode. So it's the awareness and just creating the ability to be aware is the key, I think.
The part of like the awareness piece of it, and what this group is, what you two mean to me, um what community is. It's like, a lot of times it's until you're able to pull yourself out or have that awareness of yourself, surrounding yourself with others that you could, oh gosh, I didn't even see it, like so and so said that they're dealing that, that's my problem too, and after you see it over and over again, it's like, okay, others can kind of pull you out of there, or community, or trusted advisors or mentors, or colleagues. Like, it's the power of community. You can't do it all yourself, and you're likely not going to see it all.
Yeah, just hearing you guys talk, I wonder. I'm just thinking off the cuff right here. As we interact with people who are either in victim or villain mode, I wonder if one of the ways this pause is to say, "Hey, listen, let me take you through this thing we call the AAA framework: awareness, agency, action." I don't know if you have awareness right now, but you're operating from a villain mindset, and here's what I mean by that. And just it's not judgmental; it's just giving them information. And if you're in villain mode, you might dig in and just get defensive and come at it, but you never know. It's like I don't know. I might have to try that next opportunity I have with someone, um, and I use it for myself now. I've got way higher awareness, so I don't I still go into those modes. I just stay there less time. I get out of there faster, and so I had an opportunity a couple weeks ago. And I remember the way I got out of it was I just called the guy and said, "Hey, listen, I took ownership of it. Even though it was, if you were a judge, you'd go like, hey, this was a joint and several liability thing. They both parties made this thing happen." So that I don't need to win. I'm just going to own it, and it completely diffused the conversation.
Mhm.
Everything got reset. It was almost like it was on a phone call, but it was almost like you wanted to hug the guy. Yeah, it's like, and so it's crazy how this stuff works.
One thing I could say, and just like reflecting on the three of us and the growth that I see, not only in what we have in this community and our separate businesses, but us as people, is it's easy when you're in that victim or villain, or to take just a hard stance, and you get all pissed off, and you're going to change somebody, and you're going to change the way that it's like, the more that you look at this, the more that you see it. And I've watched it both in you guys, and I noticed it myself too, is just like, the more vulnerable that you could be, the more, I guess, empathetic that you could be to seeing, like, when you see it over and over again, and I think that maybe that's just us shifting from into that, not only the hero side, but, the guide, where we want to help pull people out of there. It's been really cool to watch you two do that often, and you lead me well in being able to see that, but it's worth noting.
Mhm.
I'm glad you said that, Brock. And I'm thinking about me personally, because if I get pushed on something, I get my back against the wall and I want to push back. And um, something I've learned over the last few years too, and from role models, and that's, the mindset of assume the best. And that's, that I really work on, and it comes to mind more often than not now. But assume that person means the best, whether it feels like it. Don't trust your feelings. Don't to another level. Just assume the best. Um, that fixes a lot of things, personally.
Great point.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the villain. Life is happening because of me. Next role, we're going to move into the one where we're going to invite you to spend most of your time, and that's the hero. And life is happening for me. So again, contrast that with the victim. Life is happening to me. The villain, life happens because of me, egocentric. And then the hero, life is happening for me. So it's an opportunity. So right out of Jocko's playbook, takes full ownership, acts with courage. Doesn't mean you're not scared, but they act with courage. They move forward despite uncertainty. They have a growth mindset. They believe they're capable of learning new things. So some examples. Okay, what do we do now? It's action oriented. So when you think about awareness, agency, action, when you're in hero mode, you're very aware of it. You take total ownership and you take action. That's like hero in action is the AAA. They own it. They fix it. They lead from the front, and people notice. People know when you're around a guy or gal working in hero mode, and so the pattern interrupt. And this is again, it's not even an interrupt. It's maybe an interrupt to get into the hero. This is who I'm becoming. That's the pattern. And then when you're in hero mode, you don't want a pattern interrupt. You want to just keep flowing with the hero. So let's talk a little bit about, let's use some examples maybe of guys you've seen stepping into the hero mode. It might be one of you guys. I mean, Clint, I referenced you many times when you just left your W-2 job without having a nice safety net to walk into. I picture you walking out of a cushy kind of nice job onto a tightrope with no net underneath it. And you're like,
Yeah.
And so to me, that's a great example of stepping into the hero mode.
Yeah, that's what it felt like too. And I just my input on this is I always, and I think we all do, we always want to be. I look at the hero not as a superhero or coming to save you, but as on just the hard journey that is, can be a grind, but you grow through it and you come out so much better. And I always want to be in that mode in one area because we know if comfort kills, right? So I don't want to be comfortable for too long, but yeah, that's my thought there. And we see so many guys on that journey.
I have a pretty unique role in the Argent Alpha community. I think I'm the only one that's not 50 and that's been a part of this since almost since you started. Jager brought it there, but what I've noticed is like I had the imposter syndrome, as hard as it could be, or as big as it could be when I was first starting working with guys. I'm like, these guys have it all figured out. What am I going to teach them? They're people. They're the role models. They're the business professionals. They're all these things that I want to be, and they're coming to me, and I know who I am, and I don't have it all figured out. But the more that I see, the more vulnerable that all of you guys are. You guys don't have it all figured out either, and it doesn't mean that you have to as a hero, right? Like a hero is someone that's just like they don't have it all figured out, but they're going to step forward in confidence and they're going to take action. And the more that you do that, the more that constantly you live in that state and you elevate and you surround yourself with others that want to do that. And that's what I think about in this community and watching the hero role played out.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. I know we're running up on time. I'm going to go through these. I don't want to speed too fast, but back to our model. So hero, life is happening for me. And this next role, we're going to talk about the guide, is life is happening through me. And the biggest caveat I want to put here is you can't be a guide unless you've been the hero of your own story. The guide is an earned role. Like Brock said, anybody can become a victim or a villain. Zero barriers to entry. Hero takes work. It takes extreme ownership. The guide, you got to work. You got to have a transformation as the hero of your life. So they lead through wisdom and experience. They offer perspective without forcing it. I always like to say, like, the guys who are guides, you know it when you meet them. They just have a presence. There's this sort of
Yeah.
calm confidence, and I mean, I look at like guys like Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood doesn't even need to speak, and you're just like, you just go, that dude's a legend, man. He's talk about a guide. Um, Strengthens others while refining himself, embodies calm confidence and clarity. And so, and they don't force, it's not advice, it's wisdom. I think there's a difference. There's so many people giving advice. Wisdom comes from people who have earned it and they've lived it. And so, a way to get into the guide mode, one, be the hero. You don't have to complete your hero's journey. If you're operating in the hero mode regularly, you can serve as a guide. And so the pattern interrupt you need is, who can I help right now? So if you're ever feeling stuck and you want to get unstuck, go help somebody. It's a great way to have a pattern interrupt. And I think the hero and the guide role, especially for the guys in our group, they go hand in hand.
Mhm.
When guys get breakthroughs on their own journeys, whether it's body fat percent, getting the first pull up, doing something hard. We've had guys or go through the Grand Canyon. We've had guys bike 180 miles in less than 24 hours straight. We've had, Judge spending 7 days in the wilderness. I mean, those guys, you can see the hero in action, and the guys we're thinking of, they all have a presence. And these are examples of guys in our group who have done the Musogi. And you can look up Musogi, just Google Michael Easter and Musogi, and you can learn all about it. But that to me is like this rite of passage is the guide. And I don't know, what do you guys
I,
comes to mind?
So going through the four things here, victim, villain, hero. Like we all probably can identify times that we've been in one of those three, but the guide, there is something actionable that you guys can all take away, and you can all be a guide starting right now in some way. And the quote that I hear Ed Milet talk about this all the time, and it's one that's just like etched in my memory of, he goes, you are most uniquely gifted to help the person you once were. All of us, think back to the person we once were, and, things that you have accomplished or things that you've overcome, and then go find someone or look for opportunities where you see that exact thing. You could be a guide to that person right there. And that right there is just like, it's kind of what I've fashioned my businesses around, and like, because I want to help people in ways that I didn't know how to do it, and be able to help them in ways that I just didn't know where to turn. That's a lot of where my business ideas and passion and all that come from. But that quote, you're most uniquely gifted to help the person you once were.
Hmm.
That's so good, Brock. I'm thinking about a couple different things. One is, yeah, if you're a hero, you can always be a guide, and I always want to be in that hero role, but I like to do it through the lens of a guide as well. So anything I'm doing, I want it to help guide others. And I always think about the analogy I heard a while ago is every third grader looks up to a fifth grader. So be the fifth grader to somebody who's the third grader. No matter what level, just like you said, the person you used to be is that third grader. You can help them. And if you're a hero, um, look at it through the lens of a guide, because you don't know who you're going to affect. I was thinking about Jag, when you're in the hero mode, and what I think about is over the last year, you writing your book and getting that out, and just the process of that. But you're actually a guide in that book, helping 100,000 men. So look at both of those roles.
Yeah, thanks for that too. And what I've noticed by doing the book, and you had to step into hero mode. You can't be a victim or villain and do that. But the feeling, the learning you get by being the guide, it's like this self-reinforcing thing by getting all those thoughts on paper and getting out into the world. Yeah, that felt good. The feedback from people feels good. But it's also sharpened my saw. It's like, man, I want to keep being a guide. So to be
Yeah.
a guide, I got to go back into hero mode and keep living that life too. So there's this sort of circular equation that they feed on each other. And then if you're in a hero or guide mode, there's just no time to spend in victim or villain mode. I mean, that's the other way to think about this is the more you practice this, you just reduce the time spent in those roles that don't serve you. And so
Mhm.
you're going to drop into them every time, just like drift happens. It happens to everybody, but you reduce the frequency and the duration. Same with these roles, because
Yeah.
drift lives with the victim and the villain. Drift cannot exist in the hero or the guide role. They just cannot. They cannot be in the same room at the same time.
Your initial reaction when anytime adversity comes usually isn't that you don't go right into hero or guide mode. You follow the victim villain till you get that awareness and see where you are and how do I want to respond? How do I want to finish? Do I want to finish well? Okay, well, what do I got to do to be able to do that? Like we all have many of those opportunities come up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to just do a quick summary here. So the four roles matrix, and there's a lot of, we could expand on this, but you think about the victim is the victim, villain, hero, and guide. The victim's in helpless mode. The villain's in controlling. Hero takes ownership, is responsible. The guide's the wise. He's wise. He's got wisdom. And over here, the victim spends time in survival mode. The villain's got to dominate the situation. Doesn't matter if he's right or wrong. You just got to dominate. The hero's all about transformation. The guide's about transcendence. And so physically, if you look about it, the victim avoids ownership, blames age, genetics, time, withdraws from feedback. The villain loves to cling to old methods, refuses to adapt. Fixed mindset keeps that guy stuck. The hero physically reclaims agency. He tests, he tracks, he grows through feedback, he iterates, he stays on course. And the guide is this is back to that presence, integrated, strong, calm. And I think this is the guide mode. That's where you're operating almost effortlessly. Heroes role can be hard. I mean, there's work there. The guide is like, it's just, the classic one is Obi-Wan Kenobi. They're just gliding. So little friction in life. So that's it. So I think as a takeaway, commit the four roles to memory and just ask yourself at any given time, what role are you in? You're in one of them. I don't think there's a fifth or sixth or seventh or eighth role. You're in one of them. Mm. If you're not in hero or guide mode, recognize that pattern and do something to get out of it. All right, guys. Clint, Brock, thanks. As always, a fun one. And thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.